1945, A Changing World. After the Army, Dad worked for a year as a coach at Huston-Tillotson College in Austin, Texas. He then played baseball in the Negro League for one season. That was the only league open to African American ball players at the time. Between 1888 and 1947, black ball players were restricted to the Negro Leagues. The Negro Leagues played a unique and exciting style of baseball that entertained millions in small towns and big cities across America. Negro Leagues teams gave us a great players such as Satchel Paige, Josh Gibson, Willie Mays, and Henry Hank Aaron. Despite the glory associated with Negro League baseball, it was still a part of a discriminatory system. Major League Baseball had an unwritten policy that kept non-white players out of the organized baseball. Black ball players were denied the opportunity to play in the major leagues. Salaries were lower in the Negro Leagues, the schedules were less structured, and when the teams traveled south, they were forced to follow Jim Crow laws. Because of its inequities, Dad questioned his future in professional baseball. Although my dad knew that the black press, some liberal sports writers, and a few politicians were fighting for an end to the Jim Crow baseball, he had little faith that it would happen in his lifetime. Little did Dad know that the change was close, or that he was the prime candidate to break down the racial barrier. The end of World War II signaled a turning point in America in many ways. Segregation was one area that was certain to change. The black veterans returning from World War II were more determined than ever to abolish segregation. In 1948, President Harry S. Truman announced an end to segregation in the U.S. military. Other people were just as interested in desegregating civilian life. Some of them started with sports. Because of its significance to American culture, baseball was the first team sport targeted for change. American baseball, which grew out of British ball and stick games like cricket and rounders, gained in popularity during the Civil War. By the end of the war, baseball was considered America's pastime. It seemed to represent all that was considered good about America: democracy, teamwork, fair play, excellence. It also represented America at its worst: divided, discriminatory, unjust. Determined to end institutional discrimination is baseball's sports writer was such as Wendell Smith of the Pittsburgh Courier, Frank A. Young of Chicago Defender, Art Cohen from the Oakland Tribune, Sam Lacy of Baltimore Afro-Americans, and Shirley Povich of the Washington Post wrote daily articles on the injustice of segregation within professional sports. They appealed to baseball commissioners, to the owners of the teams, to the ballplayers themselves, and to the fans who supported the games. The questions these journalists raised went beyond the issue of race and into the economics of the game. They asked, could baseball truly be considered America's pastime when black players and white players couldn't play on the same field? Could post-World War II teams afford to rebuild and be successful without including the enormous talent pool that existed within the Negro Leagues? Could the business of baseball grow when it is being accused of racism? Could the United States really consider itself a democracy if a proportion of its population was denied their basic human rights and opportunities simply because of the color of their skin?